What's up, punks? Welcome to vlog number 5. For this one, we played a 2-5 session down at Parx Casino, which is our local casino here outside Philadelphia. You'll have to wait till the end to find out whether it was a good session for us or a bad session for us, but make sure to hit that like and subscribe. It's really helping out the channel a lot, getting us out there to more viewers. So if you can, throw a like and subscribe up there. It really does a lot for us. And let's get to the hands. We start this session off pretty good. We are under the gun, first hand. We look down at ace-jack offsuit. So we make it 25 to go. A middle position player, the hijack, the small blind, and the big blind all call, so no one is scared by my raise. Flop comes off, 9-4-2, rainbow. I check after the blinds check to me, and it checks through. Jack of clubs comes on the turn. Small blind now bets out for $25. The big blind calls, and I'm thinking about this for a minute. I say, well, let me just call, see what develops, and we'll play the river. So I call. Then the middle position player just open shoves. He had just bought back in. He got stacked the hand before, and I could kind of get a vibe on him that he was a little nuts. He shoves for $378. Small blind folds. The big blind goes into the tank for maybe about 30 seconds or so. And I make up my mind, if he calls, I fold. If he folds, I'm calling. So he eventually folds. I throw in a single chip to call. River is a 6 of diamonds. And the middle position player turns over Jack 7 offsuit. So I show my ace-jack, and I scoop a giant pot to start off the night. This guy in middle position, he turns out to be quite a maniac, and we are looking to get in pots with him as often as we can all night long. The next hand that we look down at pocket eights in the small blind. And under the gun player calls. The hijack then raises it to $20. We flat here out of position. We could 3-bet, but I don't want to play a bloated pot because the hijack player is the maniac from before who is opening every single pot for $20 whenever he's checked to. So I'm trying to use this for my advantage and try and get a little bit more money out of him if I have a favorable flop. Under the gun calls, and we go to a flop. Flop comes off, Jack 8-9 rainbow. So we flop bottom set. I'm pretty sure I'm good here, but I want to get some money out of this maniac. So I check, under the gun checks, and to my surprise, the hijack checks. So we go to a turn, which is 4 diamonds, and I lead out for $35, thinking that this guy has been calling everything with one pair, with even ace high, so hopefully I can get a little bit of money out of him. Under the gun folds, which I assumed, and unfortunately, hijack folds, king, queen, face up. He had a gut shot and 2 overs and somehow folded. It was very out of character for him, but hopefully we'll get him next time. This next hand that we look down at ace-10 of clubs. We are in late middle position. We get 1 limper to us. We raise to 20. The reason that we're raising to 20 here is we're trying to throw off the maniac at the table. He's been opening for 20 every single time he's checked to, but there's been a couple times where I've let out before him because he's almost always got position on me based on his table position. So when I've let out into him, he's never 3-bet. He only calls, and when we lead out on the flops, he's playing very much more passively when we're showing aggression. So with these middle hands like ace-10, ace-jack, things like that, I'm opening pre-flop to try and take the lead from him. So it comes around to him, and miraculously he folds, which he very rarely does. But small blind decides to come along in the middle position. Limper decide to come along. With $65 in the pot, we go to a flop, and it comes out 10-7-6 rainbow. So we hit top pair. Great kicker, checks to me. I bet out $45 because it is a pretty coordinated board. The small blind folds, and the middle position player just makes the flat. 4 hearts comes on the turn, checks to me. I bet out $65 this time, and the middle position player just calls. 8 of diamonds comes off on the river, so it does put a 4-liner out there. Checks to me, and I bet $175. The middle position player goes into the tank for a little bit and eventually decides to fold. I'm not sure exactly what he had, but aggression here won out on the day. The next hand of interest that we look down at is ace-king offsuit in the small blind. Folds around to the button, he raises to 25, and I'm not having that, so I raise to 85. Button thinks about it for a minute and just calls. So with 175 in the pot, we go to a flop. It is ace 4-9 rainbow. So I lead out for 125, and the button goes in the tank, and I'm hoping that he has a weaker ace that he can call with, but he must have had some sort of middling pair or 2 face cards, because he eventually just decides to fold, and we move along to the next hand. The next interesting hand that we look down with, we are in the big blind, and we have ace-3 offsuit. Under the gun raises, a middle position player and the button both call. Small blind folds. I think about it, and I say for, $15 more, I might as well see a flop. And it's a good thing I do, because we smash this one. Flop comes 9-3-3 with 2 hearts. I check. Under the gun bets 25. The button calls, who is the maniac at the table still. So I just flat here, thinking that I'm probably good, and I'll put out some aggression on the turn. Well, the turn brings the ace of diamonds. So at this point, I don't think there's any reason for me to put out aggression, because I'm hoping one of these two has an ace and will start firing for me. So I check, but unfortunately it checks through. 8 of hearts completes the flush on the river, and instead of letting this check through again, I lead out for $100. The initial raiser under the gun goes into the tank for a good bit, probably a minute, maybe even more, and eventually comes up with a call. And the button then folds really quick. I table my full house, and he reluctantly just puts his cards in the muck and seems a little bit dejected that I got there on him. The next hand of interest that we look down at is ace-9 of hearts. We are under the gun, so we limp in hopes that the maniac at the table will raise like he does 95% of the time. A middle position player calls, and the maniac on the button just calls, which is kind of odd, so we're a little bit worried that he might actually have a hand this time. But then the small blind wakes up and raises to $30. All 3 of us call. We go to a flop 4 ways. Flop comes off ace 6-5 with the 6 and 5 of spades. The small blind bets out $45. We call here with top pair, and everyone else folds. 6 of clubs comes off on the turn, pairing the board. And from my point of view, I think this is a pretty good card for me. There's not a lot of 6s in his range, but he does have kings, queens, jacks in his range. There's only one combo of aces out there, so I'm not as worried about that. And he leads out for $100. And I don't see any point in raising here, because if he does have a hand like, pocket 5s, pocket 6s, pocket aces, something like that, he's just going to rip it in on me, and I'm going to have to fold. So I'd rather put him on either a better ace where maybe I can get away on the river, or another hand where I might be able to get some value on the river if he checks to me. So I just call, and the river is the 4 of clubs, which I think looks like a good card for me, until small blind leads out for $400. At this point, the only thing I can beat is a complete bluff. This guy is a little bluffy, but I think that there's better spots to look him up in. So I fold, and he tables 7-8 of spades. So he flopped an open-ended straight flush draw and rivered the straight and got a little bit greedy. I think if he would have bet somewhere in the 150 to 200 range, I probably would have looked him up. But lucky for us, he got greedy, and we were able to get away from it, losing the minimum. The next playable hand that we look down at, it's almost like deja vu. We're under the gun and we look down at ace-9 suited again, this time in spades. Unfortunately, the Maniac at the table has now left us to go to a bigger game after he donated about $3,000 to the table, thinking that going to a bigger game was a good idea for him for some reason. So with him out of the way, I bet my own hand. I raised to 20 from under the gun. Hijack call, small blind calls, and the big blind call. And we go to a flop, and this time, instead of it being a sketchy flop for us, we smash it. We flop a boat, ace-9-9, and to make things even better, the small blind bets out for us. He bets $40. Big blind folds, we just flat, and to our surprise, the hijack also comes along. So we go to a turn, which is the 8 of diamonds. Small blind bets out again for $65. There's no reason to raise here, so we just call, and the hijack comes along again. We're loving this spot. Jack of diamonds on the river completes a straight, but who cares? I hope they have the straight. Small blind bets out again for $115. So I go into my best Hollywood mode. I'm asking him, does he have any black chips back there? Does he have any green chips back there? And then eventually I settle on a raise to $375, assuming that I might be able to get him to call. To my surprise, the hijack goes into the tank and calls. It's back around to the small blind. He goes into the tank. And eventually he comes up with a call as well. We table our boat, both of the muck, and we scoop a monster hand here at the end of our session. We were planning to get up the next hand, but we decided to play one more orbit just to not hit and run. Nothing really exciting happened on that orbit, so we ended up getting out of here at a pretty good profit. All right, punks. So we were into this game for $1,000, out for $21.93. So that makes us $11.93 to the upside. Not a bad session. Take it every single time. So make sure, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot, helping us grow. We're getting a lot more traction, so that's really appreciated. Next vlog will be coming soon, so keep your eyes out for it. And always remember, run it up the punks. I never done my best, so I don't know.